place to be, where art, life, and spirituality connects you and me. Science of mind and spirit, the foundation we teach and live. Love, joy, and belonging are the gifts we have to give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality is our way of life. We value laughter, truth, and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message.
SIA is the place to be. So buckle up, we're making history. And if you are willing, repeat after me. I am love. I am love. it right. One more time. I am love. I am victorious. I am divine. Amen. Yes, you are. Amen. Yes, you are. Now today's message begins.
Namaste and greetings. Are you ready to close out the month of May? Are you ready to close out divine doubt? If so, then we close out on the idea that we can look at doubt as devotion, with questioning, higher order questioning as an act of love. Yeah, I know. I can already hear you now. You're wondering, what are you talking about, Ray? So we close this month's theme by putting divine doubt into the conversation with becoming and loving in a higher, deeper, more prophetic way. Pause for a brief commercial announcement. When we say higher, deeper, even more prophetic, we use these terms as linguistic convenience. There is nowhere higher for us to go or be except in awareness. See, we're accustomed to kindergarten being a lower grade and freshman, sophomore, junior, senior being higher. And then you go to higher education, even if it's undergrad. And then you go to graduate school, which is higher than we are accustomed to the concept. But pause and think about it in terms of our awareness and our application of. Now, these things, when taken together, they chart a different kind of path, a different kind of divine awareness and divine expression whereby we surrender and we move in a way that acknowledges greater vulnerability, which is demonstrated as our trust of self, trust of others, simply the trust of the divine, trust of the universal process and presence. I know, I hear you. How am I supposed to trust them when they're trying to get rid of my rights and my ability to vote, and trust that they are a divine expression of God? You don't have to trust the behavior. You don't have to trust the actions. Trust the truth, regardless of what the actions are. They're still human. Trust that. That's the beginning place. Trust that. Because the moment we can get there, then at least we are starting from this divine awareness and divine expression. Does that somehow absolve them of? Hell no. In fact, it calls us into a greater level of accountability, where we now call them on their and hold them responsible and accountable. You are a divine expression of God. You are the universe made flesh. Act like it. See, that's a very different thing. Breathe. So in this whole process, what doubts arise that keep you, me, we, us? What doubts arise that keep us from experiencing and expressing this thing called life to the fullest? What prevents us from, or what blocks us from experiencing and expressing authentic love, authentic nurturing and caring? And once again, what if the doubts are not the enemy? They're not the villain. But what if they are simply signposts that are pointing the way? This is the exit to go visit the grandkids. This is the exit to go get the Chinese food that Tracy and I love. This is the exit to go to either her therapist or my therapist or our podiatrist, or this is the exit to go to, well, that's the simply, oh, Tracy, slow down. This is 55. I know I've got a lot of nerve, don't I? But there's signposts that point the way. Stop. Yield, which somehow people in this area don't like to do. Yield. Turn left. No U-turns. What if they are simply signposts? And I know on the screen you see where it says rather than detours. What if it's a signpost pointing? See, if you keep going this way, you're going to get stuck in traffic. Take this detour and you can circumvent. You can bypass all of that traffic. Are you then willing to accept and acknowledge and move in this energy of divine doubt in a different way? There is no one who believes more in faith, more in prayer, or more in the necessity of the divine will being done than one who practices daily the science of mind and spirit. Now, rather than getting into the whole of this statement, simply ask yourself, why would Dr. Holmes say that? What is it about science of mind and spirit that there is no one who believes more in faith than one who practices daily the science of mind and spirit. There is no one who believes more in prayer than one who practices daily the science of mind and spirit. There is no one who believes more in the necessity of the divine will being done than one who practices daily the science of mind and spirit. What does that mean to you? What's the invitation that's being offered? Simply by hearing that, reading that, being made aware of that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you agree, why? If you don't agree, why not? What's the thing? Breathe. When two people sit down and begin to exchange words, verbally, in sign. What is that called? Right. It's called conversation. And the key thing is, conversation is a back and forth, a give and receive, ebb and flow. If one person is talking, that's called a monologue, not a conversation. Now, when two people are truly having a conversation, one person's words and the other person's words reach a point where they no longer remain just their words. In other words, the words blend, the concepts blend, the conversation becomes one unified form of energy. It becomes one unified form of energy. Because it's not me talking, it's not me listening or observing. It's a we. We are conversing. We are sharing ideas. And if it's more than two people having a conversation, now it's five of us. Same thing. It becomes one unified form of energy where the sharing of ideas, the sharing of thoughts, the willingness to be vulnerable, all of that happens in the container. And within that container of that unified energy, great things are possible. Now, when you say, great things like what, Ray? What are you talking about? Great things like imagination. Great things like compassion, greater understanding, support. These things come about because as one person shares something that they're going through, the others who are receiving this are now given the opportunity. How might we be of service? And sometimes that the greatest thing we can do is simply be silent, yet fully present. But that depends on how the wave is moving, which then gives us the clue of, well, how am I supposed to respond? Feel the wave. Now, in this great exercise, this spiritual practice called conversation, we're given opportunities to experience and express divine doubt, to experience and express the linguistic convenient term of becoming more aware, becoming more of what we already truly are, as well as loving, expressing, receiving, experiencing love. And within this as well, based upon SIA, divine doubt gives us the opportunity to study, to increase our intellectual awareness, which then we integrate. We allow it to become a part of who we are. We then apply it. We study, we integrate, we apply. We ask questions, the questions begin to shape us, and then we express who and what we are in ways that transform and heal our lives as well as others. Pause. How many times have you, I'm shaking stuff. How many times have you ever seen a photo or image or done it yourself, such as this young woman is doing. And in prayer, you either looked up or you looked down. You raised your head or you lowered your head. And someone recently asked me a question about this, like, why do we do that? Even in New Thought, why do we do that? Since we don't see God as up there and out there, why do we do it? And in reference to this whole idea of divine doubt, it made me start thinking, well, what if, as it says in Psalm, a song of a song of ascents. I will lift up my eyes. I will lift them up to the mountains. From whence shall come my help? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. What does that look like? What does that mean for us? Well, what if we look up in order to direct our attention and realization to the absolute truth, God? In the same way that a physician might look away from the patient for a moment to see their divine perfection as a path forward for the patient's treatment. Right? So you're looking at their chart, you're looking at them, and then there's a moment of, because this space does something. Looking up while thinking is an unconscious behavior often used to aid memory recall, enhance concentration, or reduce visual distractions. So what if, even us in New Thought, we're not looking to God, but what if we are looking up because it is an unconscious behavior that gives us an opportunity to remember something? It gives us an opportunity to concentrate on something. It gives us the opportunity to reduce the distractions. What if? Same thing for the other postures we may engage in, but more on that later. Faith is a faculty of mind that finds its highest expression in the religious attitude. But always the person who has faith in their own ability accomplishes far more than the one who has no confidence in themselves or their abilities. Those who have great faith also have great power. What if sometimes we need to look up to remember the power of our faith, the power of ourselves? What if we look up to concentrate on that power? What if we look up because this is distracting us from our power and making us weaker? And we look up, we look away in order to regain, to remember, to focus, to concentrate, to reduce the distractions, to remember that this thing called life-affirming faith gives us power or reminds us of our power, gives us access to our power. And similarly, what if there's also a reason why we look downwards or inwards? What if we look down not only as a sign of our humility, but our serenity as well? Right? Because one of the reasons we say we bow our heads in prayer is to be humble before God. Looking down while thinking is a subconscious behavior called gaze aversion that helps us concentrate, once again, by reducing external distractions, possibly also internal distractions. It facilitates a visual decoupling, allowing the brain to switch from focusing out here, outside world, to coming back to self, to returning to the internal mental practices where we access memories, we analyze clearer, we regulate our emotions. So what if it's not necessarily about an external God, an anthropomorphic God, but it's about accessing our own divine power and nature? What if the posture that we're observing right here is a physical manifestation of what it means to be open at the top? I mean, it does, after all, mirror the teaching symbol. So what if, in the same way the other postures, ways of being, reference and reflect something far deeper, greater awareness of, what if this does the same? Just saying. Because then it gives us greater insight into, why am I behaving or moving the way that I'm behaving or moving? What is the unconscious trigger? What is it offering me the opportunity to know, understand, to study, to integrate, to apply, to ask, to become, to love? Whatever spirituality is, it is not something to be discovered. It is something to be recovered. Something that you, me, we at some time or another misplaced, and recover 1,000 times in a lifetime. How often have we said things like, I know better than this. You misplaced it. You're now recovering it. Why do you misplaced it? You now recovered it. What if we stopped guilting and shaming ourselves for misplacing it? Where are my keys? I just had my keys. I'd lose my head if my head wasn't attached to my neck. Why do we do that? Why do we guilt and shame ourselves instead of simply recognizing sometimes we misplace things for a variety of reasons? Often because we're not mindful. Often because we're distracted. So what if we simply recognize my keys are misplaced, breathe, and give myself the space to recover them? What if? What would happen in our lives if we were more gentle with ourselves as it comes to this thing called spirituality and recovering it, rediscovering it? Breathe. There is an idea, concept called dedication, devotion, conviction, being devoted, that we have an opportunity to embody and practice. In what way does this devotion, being devoted, being convicted, what does it look like? Daily in our lives, what does it look like? If someone is a devoted father, what does that mean? If someone's pet is devoted, what does it mean? To show devotion, what does it mean? What does it mean to be devoted to yourself, to your own evolution and your own becoming and your own loving and what does it mean? What does it look like? To what degree are you devoted to you? Or do you relinquish your devotion to self because you've been convinced that other people matter more? Many of us have been taught that. What if we rediscover, because we have misplaced our devotion for so long, what if it's time that we rediscover, recover what it actually means? If we are to have an active, life-affirming faith, the faith of God, instead of merely faith in God, our thoughts must be centered in, through, and as the universal mind. What does that look like? Just even sitting with the concept, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Even simply saying faith in rather than faith of. Can you even conceptualize the opportunity, the idea of having the faith of God rather than merely the faith or a faith in? Like, what's the difference? Can I even conceptualize the difference? Well, if we were to look at the hero's journey of Thomas Anderson, aka Neo, we would find a great many signposts of his developing from a space or place of thinking he knows, having no idea what he knows, trusting, not really not trusting, to trusting, but not understanding, to trusting and understanding, to eventually knowing. As Morpheus told him when they were training, don't think you are, know you are. Don't think you are, know you are. See, many of us are walking around as though like we're holding a little Neo, right? We have all these accoutrements of things that say we have faith in God. Prayer beads, candles, sage sticks, singing bowls. We have all kind of the things that say we have faith in God. We have faith in the universe. We have, in terms of the Matrix, there were those who had faith in Neo. But what's the difference between saying I have faith in Neo as the one, and then Neo saying, well, I am the one, therefore I have the faith of the one? Well, Dr. Holmes said, faith is a faculty of the mind that excuse me, faith is a faculty of the mind that finds its highest expression in the religious attitude. Wait a minute. So you're telling me science of mind and spirit, life affirming faith. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that ultimately science of mind and spirit is about me understanding that I have an opportunity to have the faith of the universe, the faith of God. Well, that completely changes things because now I really need to work on, or I'm invited to work on times where I misplace my faith. The various ways I misplace my faith. When I don't have faith in my abilities, I'm misplacing my faith. When I have no confidence in myself, I'm misplacing my faith. and I am believing that I am supposed to have faith in something or someone else. Much will be required of everyone who has been given much. You don't get given more than you are divine, you are God, you are the universe incarnating itself. There is nothing more than that. And even more will be expected of the one who has been entrusted with more. This is one of the reasons why we prefer to have faith in God. Because to have the faith of God means there's a different expectation. And we don't want that expectation, so we relinquish it. Versus standing in it. As Peter Parker did, as Miles Morales did, with great power comes great responsibility. You have a different level of responsibility, accountability, by recognizing and knowing who and what you truly are. You're a great teacher. There's accountability and responsibility that comes with that greatness. You're a great interpreter. There is accountability and responsibility that comes with it. You're an amazing parent. There is a different level of responsibility and accountability that comes with that. Now, granted, we all ideally should be held to the same standard. Yes. But if I'm not a parent, why am I being held to the standard of being a great parent or a parent with great? I'm not. But as a human, yes. As a divine expression of God, yes. But are we willing? Are we willing to merge the two and become not simply I have faith, but I am faith? I am that which is ever becoming more of itself as me. I am the one expressing. Are we willing to assume that level of power? I am. I am that which is ever becoming more of itself as me. Om Tat Sat. I am that which is the all that is, and is ever becoming more of what it is as me. Are you willing to have that degree of faith, that degree of trust, accountability, responsibility? The thought of faith molds the undifferentiated substance and brings into manifestation the thing which was fashioned in the mind. This is how faith brings our desires to pass. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, think of it sort of like this image you see on your screen now. If we were to break each of these down, the glass, the water being poured, the pitcher holding, or the water is coming from the hand that's holding the water that's still in the pitcher, etc. Each of these has a label we could give it. Manifestation, thought, God, etc. So what if we say that as the thought pours forth, it will take the shape, as the life-affirming faith is applied, it will take the shape of greater relationships, a trip to Japan, financial health and well-being, a harmonious family reunion, whatever it is, that's the manifestation. How am I pouring thoughts and imagination and life-affirming faith and trust? How am I pouring it into it? because it's going to take the shape of whatever it's being poured into. And if the shape of it is blah, yuck, hate, war, thought and faith, etc., will take the shape of that as well. See, the shape doesn't matter because there are so many different shapes and forms of everything. The shape and form of what I'm going to have for lunch versus dinner. The shape and form of what I'm going to see when I go to Disney. The shape and form of staying at the hotel. The shape and form of visiting my second son and the reunion. The shape and form of going to Japan. And all of those experiences, each individual experience being its own shape and form. Infinite numbers of shapes and forms without measure. The form, simply the form. How am I pouring into each? Because some of them can stay empty. You don't have to pour into all of them. But how am I bringing my thoughts, my questions, my divine doubt, etc., to each of the potential forms that are before me in order to manifest and create whatever it is that I desire to create? It's almost like having a science of faith. If we looked at faith like a science, what goes together? Because see, faith is not this airy-fairy of, that's not faith. Faith is a verb. That's wishing, or the passive form of hoping. But actual faith, especially if you remember my Faith 2.0 a couple of weeks ago, one of the elements in there, the T in the acronym of faith, was trust. And trust is a verb. It requires action. Therefore, faith is an action. Faith is a verb. In this context, I know faith is also our interpreter for today. Anyhow. But what if we looked at the science of faith? How do you create water? What? 2 versus 1. Oh, H2O. 2 of what? 2 hydrogen or 2 oxygen? 1 hydrogen or 1 oxygen? Well, what's the difference between hydrogen peroxide versus hydrogen dioxide versus carbon monoxide versus carbon dioxide? What? Which thoughts added with which emotions added with which actions will create and manifest what we say we desire? A world that works for all? Jedi, justice, equity, diversity, inclusion? Then what thoughts, what level and degree of faith, trust, emotions, etc., must be brought together in the laboratory of life in order for that to be formed? It is this science of faith we are seeking to uncover. A definite technique that will conduct our minds through a process of thought, if necessary, to the place which the sublime minds of all ages have reached by direct intuition. So Ooh, wow. Yeah, it's that intuition, because I have no confidence in my intuition. So the moment Dr. Holmes mentions intuition, I immediately slip into that place of, but I don't have it. Says who? What if you simply misplaced it? Now is your opportunity to, as he said, uncover or rediscover or recover. What if now is the opportunity to ask the questions, divine doubt, ask the questions that now bring your intuition back to you as active use? It never really left. It's like a muscle that is not being used atrophies. This is your opportunity to reclaim the strength of those muscles, because it is through the connection to your intuition that all of that science of faith and the power of and all of that divine sublime minds, and that's where it all coalesces together and creates, manifests, shows up, becomes the amen, whatever words we want to use, while also recognizing that there are times when we think of to achieve means to hit the target. To accomplish something, such as a goal, is to win. To attain or to succeed, it's the idea of, yes, I have whatever. Yes, there are times and places for that. But it's important that we do not get stuck in the chasing of achievements, recognition, etc. Ministry itself, like most professions and complex practices, is dogged and driven by a rush to achieve, to succeed, to attain. Yet, to focus on achievement can be disastrous, especially if we skip over the steps for learning, study, becoming. To learn the practice of ministry, a multifaceted, professional, and spiritual practice, takes time and preparation, risk, vulnerability, and responsibility, as well as support and feedback. If we get stuck thinking these are what it's all about, we miss the actual point. It's not about those things, although those things can be part of it. They're not the reasons for it. How are we tapping into ministry, what ministry actually is, what it actually means, at a much deeper level, such as the ministry of a world that works for all? What if that's the ministry we are all being invited into right now? Remember what said before? Risk, vulnerability, responsibility, support, feedback, all of these things. The ministry of a world that works for all. Are we ready, willing, and able to come together to support this ministry? To volunteer in this ministry? To teach in this ministry? To lead in this ministry? Are we willing? I know for a fact we're able, but are we willing? To actively embody and engage the science of mind and spirit 4.0 is to be disciplined, dedicated, and devoted to the practice with consistency, conviction, and constantly developing discernment and stewardship. We aim to practice to such a degree that it is no longer simply a practice, but it is a way of life. And this way of life is our ministry of love in action, our ministry of curiosity and inquisitiveness, questions and discernment, our ministry of creating, nurturing, experiencing, and sustaining a world that works for all. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I'll say it first, and if it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it with me the second time. Love is the foundation of my ministry, and my questions, queries, and curiosities are how I tithe. Together. Love is the foundation of my ministry, and my questions, queries, and curiosities are how I tithe. And so it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions for the discussions you shall have, or your own personal journal questions. Number 1. When I have conversations, what directs or influences how the conversations occur? For example, do I initiate the conversation? If so, how do I start the conversation? It's awfully hot outside, ain't it? Wow, that's an amazing, what is that, parka? What's that called? Dashiki? It's amazing. How do I start the conversation? So I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and what directs or influences how the conversations occur? Number 2, how can divine doubt, becoming, and love improve my conversations and interactions with others? Number 3, what or who am I currently devoted to? And how does this devotion show up in my life? Number 4, what practices will improve my ability to have the faith of God on a more consistent basis? Number 5, if someone were to observe my life, Lord, the things oh, sorry, that was about me. It's not about me. It's not. If someone were, I'm reading these as though they're you. If someone were to observe my life, your life, what would they say was my ministry, your ministry? Because they would look at mine and say, my ministry is the ministry of silliness, goofiness. Because just ask Tracy, she'll tell you. Or the neighbors, they'll tell you. Anybody who really knows me, they'll tell you. Oh, he can be serious when he want to be. But trust and believe. Serious and silly. Anyhow, I digress. See, there's an example, is it? And lastly, number 6, what about this week's message is the most challenging for me? Breathe. For further practice during the week, you are invited, conversation. Imagine that someone asks you to explain the science of faith. How would you explain it? What would you say, and how does it relate to Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0? Someone says, so what, to you, what, like the science of faith, what is that? What does that mean? What does that look like? And how is it connected to, aligned with Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0? Or is it not? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. breathe. As we enter into that divine space of infinite knowing and infinite awareness, that place that all of the great masters tap into, that sublime place of intuition, imagination, infinite awareness, love. And it is in and from this place that we allow the word to create, the energy of emotions to fuel, and the lived experience to sculpt. We enter into this laboratory of life and we engage in the science of faith in ways that transform, transmute, transmogrify our individual lives and the collective. We experiment with the various chemicals on the periodic chart of the divine, and we identify what is the formula for peace on earth, goodwill to all. What is the formula for justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion? What is the formula? What are the chemical compounds, the thoughts, the words, the emotions, the energy that will manifest this, that will cause the current climate of consciousness to metamorph into this new element that has never truly existed before, a world that works for all. We enter into this space, bringing with us divine doubt, the gift of divine doubt, the gift of becoming, the gift of loving. We enter into the laboratory of life, where we study, we integrate, and we apply. We know who and what we are being, and from the being, the doing happens automatically. But we allow the doing to be done mindfully and consciously. And so we breathe. We breathe and simply remain open at the top, open at the bottom, knowing that we do not simply have faith in the universe or faith in God, but that all that we are faith made flesh. We are the faith of God, as God, with God, to God, from God. Simply, we are the faith, the I am, the it is, the all, right here and right now. We breathe, knowing that the divine law receives this word, the energy, all that was said, all that is thought, all that is acted upon, and it moves accordingly to manifest and demonstrate the amen that we are already. And so we breathe, knowing it's already done. The amen and the amen and the amen, like each breath, right there, and right there, and right there. And so we continue to breathe, recognizing that each breath, a prayer, an amen, a declaration of it is so. And so knowing this, we stand back and marvel at the magnificent way that we do this thing called the ministry of a world that works for all, individually and collectively. And we celebrate, and we nurture, and we support, and we do what is ours to do. That too is our prayer and our amen. Breathe. And so it is. Much love, appreciation, and blessings as always. If you haven't, reminder, we now have a closing song just to sort of close us out with a melody of anchoring, a melody of aligning and harmonizing. So if you have an opportunity, I invite you to stay on and listen to the closing song. And if not this week, maybe a different time. Either way, I still love you.
Today's message is complete, something to believe, a seed of truth that we can practice if we choose to receive. As we take the science of mind and spirit for pour it over to every corner of the world where the healing needs to go. We know it's not a secret, can't block behind a door. It's the wisdom that we're living, and love is what we share it for. Now step into the world, be a healing, hopeful beacon. You're walking the path and offering to all who may be seeking. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all going to keep. Take the teaching out into the busy street, to every stranger and every soul you meet. Dedication to liberation is the key we hold. A story of freedom that's waiting to be told. Right where you are is holy ground. Feel into your rhythm and the sacred sound. You're an incarnation of the divine. You're holy, powerful, and good. And you are called to be that in the world and do what only you could. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all going to keep. Be the change that you want to see. Unlock the chains and set all life free. From the heart of the city to the jungles and open plains, breaking the cycles of oppression and its heavy chains. It's a revolution of the body, the mind, and the soul. Mending, making, and manifesting the broken parts now finally whole. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all gonna keep. Right where you are sacred. Right where you are, shining so bright. Right where you are, the divine is expressing. Right where you are, life. So live it every day. Make the vision now come sing. In divine is not far off watching. It is incarnating itself as you. Have an amazing week and know that you are loved.